The intern's name didn't matter. Not to the story, and not to Vought. 3 months into the compliance department and still processing footage nobody else wanted to touch. Tuesday night alone in a gray cubicle monitor, glow the only light. The kind of shift where you stop checking the clock because it makes everything slower. The delivery manifest sat open in another tab. Project Shy. External acquisition. The custodian, some contractor outfit he'd never heard of, had transferred the asset that morning with a file thick enough to be a phone book. He'd skimmed it. Lots of redactions, lots of words like containment and non-optical monitoring and under no circumstances. His job was simpler. Convert the thermal imaging data into something human eyes could parse. Temperature gradients and motion tracking rendered as grayscale video. Make it understandable for the brass. That's what the work order said. The raw files were a mess. Pixelated. Blocky. You couldn't tell what you were looking at half the time. Just vague shapes and shifting heat signatures. The custodians had included notes. Do not attempt facial reconstruction. Do not enhance visual clarity beyond thermal profile. But compliance needed reports with actual images, not abstract blobs. The intern opened the enhancement suite standard Vought R&D software, same thing they used on surveillance footage and fed in the thermal data. The AI did what it always did. Interpolated, smoothed, filled in gaps, made educated guesses about what heat signatures meant in terms of physical form. Progress bar, 80%, 90%. The screen refreshed. Grayscale video, humanoid figure hunched in the corner of a containment cell. Tall, too tall. Limbs too long. The AI had cleaned it up, added texture, definition, and a face. Pale, drawn, skeletal structure visible under skin stretched too tight. Eyes, or the suggestion of them, sunken and dark. The algorithm had hallucinated details from noise, but they were clear now. Too clear. The intern leaned closer, paused the video, framed it. Something about the image felt wrong in a way he couldn't articulate. Not scary, just wrong. He zoomed in, checking the quality. Compliance would probably want screenshots for the summary deck. His cursor hovered over the save button. The file auto-synced to the internal drive. Standard protocol. Everything backed up in real time. He didn't think about it. Nobody did. 12 floors down in a cell designed for something the custodians had warned them not to look at, a figure stirred. It had been sitting motionless for hours, days, still, quiet. Hands covering its face the way they always did. Then its breathing changed. Faster, shallow. A sound started building in its throat. Wet, choked. Not quite human. The intern saved the file, tagged it, sent it up the chain for morning review. He didn't hear the alarms because they were 13 floors apart and the walls were concrete and steel. In the containment cell, it started to scream, not loud, not at first. A thin, high sound that security sensors caught but no human ear registered. Then louder, escalating. The figure's hands pressed harder against its face, fingers digging in. It rocked, back and forth. The sound climbed. The custodians had left instructions. If vocalization begins, do not approach. Do not observe directly. Do not attempt visual confirmation of target state. Vought security hadn't read the instructions. They had cameras, monitors, a whole grid of them feeding into the guard station. The system auto-enhanced every feed to 4K. Company standard. When the alert started pinging the night shift, supervisor pulled up the cell. On screen, the thing was standing now. Tall enough that its head nearly brushed the ceiling. It was moving, not walking, jerking, slamming itself against the walls. The cameras rendered every detail sharp. Pale skin, long fingers, the face it was trying so hard to hide. The supervisor reached for his radio. The thing stopped moving. Complete stillness. Hands still covering its face. Then its fingers slipped. Not deliberate. Panic made the grip loosen. The hands dropped. The camera caught it full on. 3 seconds of clear footage before the feed went dark. The containment door's hinges were rated for 8 tons of force. It tore them off the frame like foil. Somewhere above the intern was 3 paragraphs into an email summarizing his shift. Routine compliance work, files processed, ready for review. He hit send and started shutting down his workstation. The lights in his section flickered once, then held. The security feed from sub-level 3 went black. No alarms yet. The system was still trying to figure out what had happened. 12 floors, concrete and steel, and 2 stairwells. The thing didn't take the stairs. Vought Tower's internal sensors registered movement in the ventilation system. Impossible speed. Then the sensors stopped registering anything. The intern packed his bag, pulled on his jacket, checked his phone. No new messages. The hallway outside his cubicle was empty. It was always empty this time of night. He walked toward the elevator, hummed something under his breath. Wondered if he'd get out early enough to catch the last subway. The vent cover 15 feet above his head popped loose. Didn't fall. Just hung there bent outward. He didn't look up. The thing dropped. Silent. Faster than gravity should allow. It landed in front of him, crouched hands already reaching. The intern opened his mouth. No sound came out. The cameras in that hallway were motion activated. They caught 4 seconds. Enough. When the first security team arrived, the hallway was empty. Just a bag on the floor. Jacket, keys, phone still lit up showing an unsent text to someone named Sarah. The thing was gone. Back into the walls, moving. And the file the intern had created, the one with the enhanced image, the clear view of that face, was already backed up on 17 different servers. In the compliance department's morning briefing queue, in the backup drives, in the automatic sync that fed into the executive summary system. Somewhere in Vought Tower, someone was going to open that file. The emergency meeting started at 6 in the morning. No coffee, no small talk. Just 3 people in a glass room on the 42nd floor. And a screen showing footage that shouldn't exist. Ashley Barrett stood at the head of the table, tablet in hand, looking like she'd aged 5 years overnight. Across from her sat Frank Dawson from R&D 50s, thin hair tie already loosened. Next to him was Marcus Chen, head of security operations, who hadn't stopped staring at the freeze frame on the monitor since he'd walked in. 17 servers, Ashley said. The file synced to 17 different locations before we caught it. Compliance queue, backup drives, executive summary system, cloud redundancy, standard protocol. Jesus Christ, Dawson leaned forward. How many people have access to the server's hundreds, to the specific file? Ashley checked her tablet. Morning briefing goes out to 37 department heads at 7 a.m. That's in... She glanced at her watch. 53 minutes. Chen finally looked away from the screen. Pull it. Kill the briefing. Wipe the file from every system. We can't just wipe executive communications without approval from... I don't care whose approval you need. Chen's voice was flat. That thing killed 6 people last night. Security team, maintenance, 1 intern. All of them saw it on camera before we figured out what was happening. You understand what I'm saying? They saw it on camera and then it came for them. Ashley's hands tightened on the tablet. The custodians warned us. Non-optical monitoring only. We signed off on the containment protocol. Then why the hell do we have optical feeds in the first place? Because compliance requires visual documentation for asset intake. Dawson spoke quietly like he was explaining something to a child. Can't audit what you can't see. Company policy. Been that way for 15 years. Well, company policy just got 6 people killed. 7, Ashley corrected. The intern who enhanced the footage. He's the one who triggered it. A pause. Chen rubbed his face. When he spoke again, his voice had lost some of its edge. Okay. Walk me through what happened. From the top. Dawson pulled up a file on his own tablet. Asset delivered at 0900 yesterday. Custodians provided thermal and LiDAR data only. Standard containment procedures for what they classified as a visual cognitohazard. We put it in sub-level 3 reinforced cell no cameras. Everything by the book. So, where did the footage come from? Compliance. Ashley said the word like it tasted bad. They need visual records for the quarterly audit. Thermal data doesn't count as proper documentation according to the external review board. So they ran it through the enhancement suite. AI reconstruction. Turns thermal signatures into something that looks like regular security footage. And nobody thought that was a bad idea. The custodian said don't look at it directly. The intern wasn't looking at it directly. He was looking at an AI-generated approximation based on heat patterns. Dawson spread his hands. How was he supposed to know the algorithm would hallucinate enough detail to trigger the thing? Chen stared at him. Are you actually defending this? I'm saying nobody broke protocol. The protocol was just stupid. The protocol was stupid. The protocol, Ashley cut in, is what the board approved. We can debate whether it was smart or not after we've contained this situation. Right now, we have a file sitting on 17 servers that will kill anyone who opens it. That's the problem. So delete it. I told you we can't just, then get approval. Wake up whoever you need to wake up. Tell them we have a visual hazard in the system and it needs to be wiped before business hours. Ashley looked at her tablet, scrolled through something. Her expression didn't change, but her jaw tightened. The file was flagged for executive review. Someone in strategic assets already opened it. The room went quiet. When Chen's voice was very calm. 4:37 a.m. That was over an hour ago. Yes. And Ashley's fingers moved across the screen. His badge hasn't logged any movement since 4:40. Security feed shows his office door is still closed. No response to calls or messages. Send a team. I did, 3 minutes ago. They're en route now. Chen stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city waking up below them. How do we kill it? We don't know, Dawson said. The custodians must have... The custodians contained it. That's different from killing it. Their documentation says the only way to stop an active event is to eliminate all targets and wait for it to enter dormant state again. Eliminate all targets. Chen turned back to face them. You mean, let it kill everyone who saw the face? Or remove visual confirmation somehow? Blind them, maybe. But that's insane. That's insane. I'm not saying we should do it. I'm saying that's what the documentation suggests. Ashley's tablet buzzed. She looked at it. Her face went pale. The team reached the executive's office, and door was locked from the inside. They're breaching now. The 3 of them waited. Ashley kept her eyes on the screen, watching text updates scroll past. 30 seconds. A minute. Then her tablet lit up with an incoming call. She answered it, listened, hung up. "Well?" Chen asked. "He's dead. Office is clean otherwise. No sign of the asset." "It's back in the walls," Dawson muttered. "Or the vents. Or wherever the hell it goes between targets." "How many people on the list now?" Ashley checked. 8 confirmed dead. The intern's 6 security personnel and the executive. But the file is still live on the servers. Anyone who opens it becomes a new target. Then we shut down every system that has access to it, right now. That's half the company's infrastructure. We'd be dark for hours, maybe days. Better than more people dying. The board won't approve that without... Chen slammed his hand on the table. Not loud, just hard enough to make Ashley stop talking. "I don't give a damn what the board will or won't approve. We have a thing in this building that kills people for looking at a picture. A picture that is currently sitting in our executive briefing queue. Do you understand what happens when that briefing goes out in..." He checked his watch. 41 minutes. Mamwa. Ashley's tablet buzzed again. She looked at it. Closed her eyes briefly. It's already going out. What? Auto send was enabled. The system doesn't wait for manual approval if the queue is populated before 7 a.m. It's sending now. Cancel it. I can't. It's automated. 37 department heads are receiving the briefing as we speak. Dawson leaned back in his chair. Oh God. Can we send a follow-up? Chen was already moving toward the door. Tell them not to open the attachment. By the time we draft it and get approval to send, screw approval, send it, now. Tell them there's a system error and the attachment is corrupted. Tell them anything. Just get a message out before someone opens that file. Ashley's fingers were already moving. On it. Chen stopped at the door. Where's the asset now? Unknown. Security lost track after the executive's office. It moves through infrastructure we can't monitor. Then seal the building. Nobody in or out until we locate it. We can't seal the entire building. We have 3,000 employees arriving for work in the next hour. Then tell them not to come in. On what grounds? Gas leak, electrical fire, asbestos remediation. I don't care. Pick something and make it stick. Chen pulled out his phone. I'm calling containment specialists, real ones. Not our people. The custodians. If they'll come back after we ignored their protocols. Yes. Ashley looked up from her tablet. We're going to have to tell Homelander. Both men stopped, looked at her. No, Dawson said. He's the primary asset responder. Company policy requires... Company policy is what got us into this mess. Chen shook his head. Homelander gets involved, this becomes a PR event. He'll want cameras. He'll want to know what he's fighting. He'll want to see it. And if he sees it, then we have a much bigger problem. Ashley's tablet buzzed 3 times in rapid succession. She looked at the screen. Her expression shifted from concerned to horrified. 2 people just opened the briefing attachment, different floors, both confirmed visual on the file. Pull the fire alarm, Chen said. Get everyone out of the building. That's 3,000 people evacuating at once. The crush alone. Better than them staying in here with that thing hunting. We don't have authority to. Then get me someone who does. Ashley was already dialing. The call connected. She spoke quickly, professionally, laying out the situation in corporate terms that somehow made 6 dead people sound like a logistics problem. After 2 minutes, she hung up. Approved. Building evacuation in 10 minutes. They're coordinating with NYPD and fire services. What about the targets? The 2 people who just opened the file. Security is attempting to locate them now. Attempting. Building has blind spots. The asset uses them. Chen walked back to the table, sat down heavily. This is going to leak. Someone's going to talk. Someone always talks. PR is drafting a statement, Ashley said. Accidental gas leak. Precautionary evacuation. Asset is being moved to a secure off-site location for safety reasons. And when people ask what kind of asset requires this level of response, classified government partnership, national security implications. That usually shuts down follow-up questions. Dawson laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. We're going to spin 7 murders as national security. We're going to prevent more murders by controlling the narrative. Ashley's voice was sharp. That's the job. Her tablet lit up again. This time she didn't say anything, just stared at the screen. What? Chen asked. The file count just jumped. Someone in IT accessed the backup drive, the full archive. How many files in the archive? All of them. Every piece of footage from intake, including the unenhanced thermal data. But thermal doesn't trigger it, right? That's what the custodian said. Thermal doesn't. But IT is running the same enhancement suite the intern used. Standard procedure for generating visual reports from sensor data. Ashley looked up. They're creating new trigger images right now. The emergency lighting kicked on, red strobes in the hallway outside. The fire alarm started its rhythmic pulse. Through the glass wall, they could see people beginning to move toward the exits. Chen stood. I need to get to Security Command, coordinate the evacuation, and track the asset. I'm going with you, Dawson said. Ashley stayed seated. Her tablet kept buzzing. I'll handle communications. Keep the board updated. Tell them we need a full network shutdown. Every system with access to those files goes dark until we can physically wipe the drives. They won't approve that. They will when I tell them the alternative is explaining to shareholders why half the executive team is dead. Chen and Dawson left. Ashley sat alone in the glass room, watching her tablet light up with notifications. Each one represented someone accessing the system, each one a potential new target. The numbers kept climbing. She opened her email, started typing. Subject line urgent. Do not open morning briefing. Her finger hovered over send. She thought about the 7 people already dead, about the 2 new targets somewhere in the building, about the IT analyst who was probably creating dozens more trigger images without knowing it. She thought about the custodian's protocol. Non-optical monitoring, no cameras, no enhancement, no visual confirmation. Simple rules that would have prevented all of this. She thought about company policy, about quarterly audits and compliance reviews, and the board's insistence on documentation that could be seen and understood by human eyes. She pressed send. The email went out to 3,000 recipients. Most of them were already in the stairwells evacuating. Some were still at their desks, finishing one last task before the alarm forced them out. A few were in the break rooms pouring coffee, checking their phones. One of them, a junior analyst on the 28th floor, saw the email, saw the subject line, opened it. Read, "Critical system error detected in this morning's briefing. Do not open any attachments. Do not view any files sent before 7:00 a.m. Corrupted data may cause system crashes." She frowned. Switched to her inbox, saw the morning briefing sitting there received at 6:51 a.m. The subject line was innocuous. Weekly Strategic Assets Update. She'd already opened it. 3 minutes ago, while the alarm was starting. She'd skimmed the summary, glanced at the attached image, some kind of thermal scan that had been cleaned up to look like regular surveillance footage. Weird-looking thing. Pale, too tall. She'd closed it after a second. Hadn't thought about it again until now. She looked at Ashley's warning email, looked back at the briefing. Somewhere in the building, in a space between walls that wasn't quite a room and wasn't quite a passage, something that had been still for 4 minutes and 37 seconds began to move. The analyst stood up, grabbed her bag. The alarm was getting louder. She could hear people in the hallway moving toward the exits. She should go. She should leave. She looked at her screen one more time. The image was still cached in her browser. Still there if she wanted to see it again. She didn't want to see it again. She closed her laptop and joined the flow of people heading for the stairs. Behind her, the glass in the ceiling panel cracked. Not broke, just cracked. A hairline fracture that grew slowly, spreading across the surface like frost. The analyst didn't look back. By 7:15 a.m., Vought Tower was empty. 3,000 employees standing on the sidewalk in the cold morning air, watching their building like it might explode. Police barriers going up, fire trucks blocking the street. Someone from PR with a megaphone explaining that this was routine precautionary, nothing to worry about. Inside in Security Command, Chen watched 12 monitors showing empty hallways. "How many targets total?" he asked. The technician checked her screen. 11 confirmed, 7 deceased, 4 active. Location unknown. We lost camera coverage when the network went into emergency mode. Can't track it without visual. And we can't use visual. No, sir. Chen looked at the monitors. Empty corridors, abandoned desks, a building full of nothing. How long until the custodians get here? They said 4 hours, maybe 6 if traffic's bad. Tell them we'll pay double if they make it in 2. Yes, sir. The monitor in the corner flickered. Chen turned to look. The screen showed the executive briefing room on 42. Empty chairs, glass walls, Ashley's tablet still sitting on the table where she'd left it. The camera angle shifted slightly. Not much. Just enough to show the ceiling. One of the panels was missing. Chen picked up his radio. "All teams, we have possible asset movement on 42. Evacuate that floor immediately. Do not attempt visual confirmation. Use thermal only." Static. Then a voice. "Sir, 42 was already evacuated. There's no one up there." "I know. That's not who I'm worried about." He watched the monitor, the empty room, the missing ceiling panel, the tablet on the table screen still glowing with notifications. Somewhere in the building, something was hunting. And somewhere in the building, 4 people who'd seen its face were trying very hard not to think about what that meant. The call came through at 9:30 a.m., 2 hours after the evacuation. Butcher answered on the second ring, listened for 30 seconds. Then hung up without saying goodbye. "We're up," he said. Huey looked up from his laptop. They were in the basement of a building 3 blocks from Vought Tower, watching news feeds and police scanners. Was at the window with binoculars. Frenchie was taking apart something electronic that probably didn't need to be taken apart. "Up for what?" Huey asked. "Vaught's got a problem. The kind they can't spin away with a press conference." Butcher pulled on his coat. "The kind that kills people." Lowered the binoculars. "What kind of people?" "Their people. Internal. 7 dead so far. Maybe more by the time we get there." Jesus. Huey closed the laptop. What happened? That's what we're going to find out. Butcher was already heading for the door. Source says it's something they acquired yesterday. Something they shouldn't have looked at. Shouldn't have looked at... Frenchie stopped working. What does this mean? Means there's a thing in that tower that kills you for seeing it. And Vought being Vought, they've probably got it on 17 different cameras by now. MM grabbed his jacket. Who's the source? Someone who wants Vought to hurt as much as we do. Butcher opened the door. Someone who's also very interested in making sure this doesn't spread beyond that building. The custodians. Huey was already on his feet. The contractors who delivered it. Smart lad. So they want us to clean up Vaught's mess. They want us to make sure Vought doesn't turn their mess into everyone's problem. There's a difference. Butcher stepped into the hallway, and they're paying for the privilege. MM followed him out. This smells wrong. Everything smells wrong. That's how you know it's Tuesday. They took MM's van, parked it 4 blocks away in a loading zone with fake permit tags. The police perimeter was loose. Crowd control mostly. Keep the Vought employees corralled and calm, while PR fed them a story about gas leaks and safety inspections. Butcher walked up to a woman in her 30s holding a coffee cup and looking annoyed. Corporate type. Good shoes. Bit early for a fire drill, innit? He said. She glanced at him. They're saying gas leak now, which makes even less sense since we're on the 42nd floor. What do you do up there? Strategic assets. We catalog acquisitions and manage containment protocols for sensitive materials. Sensitive like what? Nice try. She smiled without warmth. You a reporter? Something like that. You see anything unusual before they pulled the alarm? Define unusual. Anything that made you think maybe this wasn't actually about gas. She studied him for a moment. Decided he wasn't dangerous. I got an email. 7 a.m. Told us not to open the morning briefing. Said there was corrupted data that could crash our systems. Did you open it? The email or the briefing? Both. I opened the email. Didn't open the briefing until after I read the warning. She paused. But I heard someone on my floor did. Junior analyst. She left her desk right before the alarm went off. Looked scared. She around now? Haven't seen her. Probably in that group over there. She pointed to a cluster of younger employees huddled near a food truck. Butcher nodded. Appreciate it. You gonna tell me what's really going on? Gas leak, just like they said. He walked away before she could respond. Found the others near the van. Junior analyst on 42 opened the wrong file this morning, he said. Saw something that scared her. She's in that group by the food truck. Huey looked. Which one? Dunno. But she's probably the one who looks like she's trying very hard not to think about something. MM pulled out his phone. Started recording the crowd. We need to talk to her. Eventually. First, we need to know what we're dealing with. Butcher's phone buzzed. He checked it. Custodians just sent over their documentation. Encrypted. Frenchie, you're up. Frenchie took the phone, walked back to the van. 2 minutes later, he had it pulled up on a tablet. The others gathered around. The document was clinical, technical. Classifications and containment protocols written in the flat language of people who dealt with dangerous things professionally. Subject SCP-096, humanoid, extreme physical capability, trigger mechanism, direct visual contact with facial features. Response-targeted elimination of all individuals who have achieved visual contact. No known method of negotiation or deterrence. Containment requires complete elimination of optical monitoring. Well, that's just lovely, MM muttered. Huey was reading ahead. It says here the only way to stop an active event is to wait until all targets are eliminated. Or remove visual confirmation from the targets, Frenchie added. Blind them before the subject can reach them. Right. Blind them. That's humane. Butcher scrolled down. Says Vought signed off on non-optical containment, thermal and LiDAR only. No cameras. But Vought used cameras anyway. Course they did. Can't have an asset they can't see. Defeats the whole point of owning it. So they enhancement the thermal data, Huey said slowly. AI reconstruction. Made it look like a regular person. And someone saw the reconstruction, and that was enough to trigger it. That's the theory. How many people have seen it? Custodians say 7 confirmed dead. Unknown number of additional exposures through internal file sharing. Butcher looked up at the tower. Could be a dozen. Could be 50. Vaught's network is a bloody mess. MM lowered his phone. So what's our play? Depends what we want out of this. What do you mean? I mean we could help Vought contain this thing. Lock it back up, wipe the servers, save whoever's left on the target list. Be good little citizens? Butcher's expression didn't change. Or we could let it run a bit longer. Huey stared at him. People are dying. Vought people. They're still people. Are they, though? Because last I checked, the people in that tower spend their days figuring out how to monetize human suffering. Seems like karma's finally caught up. This isn't karma. This is a thing that kills anyone who sees its face, including people who just work in IT or compliance or whatever. People who probably don't even know half the shit Vought does. Everyone who works for Vought knows, MM said quietly. Maybe not the details, but they know. Huey looked at him. You agree with this? I'm saying it's more complicated than you're making it sound. It's not complicated. If we can stop people from dying, and we don't, that's on us. Butcher lit a cigarette. You done? Are you seriously going to let this thing kill people just to hurt Vought? I'm going to make sure that if this thing gets out of that building, it doesn't end up killing everyone in New York. That's the job. What happens to Vought employees in the meantime? He shrugged. That's just unfortunate timing. Huey grabbed the tablet from Frenchie, read through the documentation again, stopped at a section near the end. Containment protocol, complete elimination of visual records. All optical monitoring devices must be disabled. Subject must be isolated in environment with no reflective surfaces. Thermal and LiDAR monitoring only. Visual confirmation of containment status is not recommended. It says here we can contain it, Huey said. We just need to cut the cameras and isolate it. Right. Simple. Except Vaught's got cameras on every floor, every hallway, every room. You want to go in there and disable 3,000 cameras while that thing's hunting? No. I want to do it remotely. Cut the power, kill the network, force them to go dark. That doesn't put it back in the cell. No. But it stops making new targets. And once the targets are... Huey stopped. Once it's done hunting, it goes dormant again. Right. Frenchie checked the documentation. This is correct. Subject returns to passive state after target elimination. Will remain passive unless new visual contact occurs. So we help them contain it properly. No cameras, no visual confirmation. The thing calms down and they can move it somewhere secure. And Vought learns nothing. Butcher dropped his cigarette, crushed it under his boot. They'll just do the same thing again with the next asset. Put it in a room full of cameras, ignore the protocols, get more people killed. Then we make it public. Show everyone what they did, how they ignored warnings and got their own people killed because they couldn't stand not having visual confirmation. Tilted his head. That's not actually a terrible idea. It's a great idea, Huey said. We help contain the thing we document, everything Vought did wrong, and we burn them with their own negligence. Nobody else has to die, and Vought still loses. Butcher looked at him for a long moment. You really think it's that simple? I think it's less complicated than letting people get murdered because we're too busy making a point. The point is the whole bloody thing. The point can wait until after we stop the killing. Frenchie cleared his throat. There is perhaps another consideration. They turned to look at him. The documentation mentions that subject can track targets across considerable distance. Through walls, through infrastructure. It will pursue until target is eliminated. He looked at Huey. The junior analyst you mentioned. If she saw the image, she is on the list. Even if we contain the subject now, even if we lock it away, when it eventually escapes, these things always escape, it will remember. It will come for her. So we need to make sure it doesn't escape. Or we need to ensure the target no longer registers as a target. Huey frowned. How do we do that? The documentation suggests visual confirmation can be disrupted by eliminating memory of the trigger image, induced amnesia, surgical removal of optical processing centers, complete blindness. Frenchie shrugged. None of these are particularly appealing options. Jesus Christ. Huey ran his hand through his hair. There has to be another way. There's always another way, Butcher said. Question is whether you're willing to do it. What's that supposed to mean? Means we've got a decision to make. We can play hero, try to save everyone, maybe succeed, probably fail. Or we can be smart about this. Contain the immediate threat document, Vought's fuck up, use it to burn them down from the inside. He looked at Huey. But we can't do both. Because saving everyone means going in there right now, and going in there right now means we don't have time to build a case. We just stop the bleeding and Vought walks away with a slap on the wrist. Better than people dying. People are already dying. Have been dying. Will keep dying as long as Vought exists. This is just a different flavor of the same shit. Butcher leaned against the van. You want to save 12 people today and let Vought kill 100 tomorrow? Or do you want to make sure this actually means something? MM's phone buzzed. He looked at it. Custodians are on site. Vought's letting them into the building to start containment operations. How long do they need? 4 to 6 hours to set up proper non-optical monitoring and lure the subject back into containment. That's a long time for the target list to stay alive. They're working on isolating the targets in secure rooms. No windows, no reflective surfaces, thermal monitoring only. Huey grabbed MM's phone, read the message. They're asking if we can help cut Vought's internal network. Force everything offline so no new images get generated. Can we do that? MM asked. Frenchie nodded. If we can access their server room, yes. But the building is evacuated. Security will be tight. Not as tight as usual. Most of their people are standing on the sidewalk. Butcher pulled out his phone, texted someone, waited, got a response. I've got a friend who can get us in through the sublevels. Maintenance access. Bypasses the main security checkpoints. And then what? Huey asked. We shut down the network, trap people in rooms with no communication, and hope the custodians work fast enough. That's the plan. That's a terrible plan. You got a better one? Huey looked at the tower, at the crowd of evacuated employees, at the police barriers and the news cameras starting to show up. We do this, he said slowly. We do it right. We shut down the network, we help contain the thing, and then we make sure everyone knows exactly what Vought did. All of it. The ignored protocols, the AI enhancement, the dead employees, everything. Thought you didn't want to make this a PR battle? I don't want people to die for a PR battle. But if they're already dead? Huey stopped. If we can't save them anyway, then yeah, we make it count. Butcher smiled. Not a nice smile. There's hope for you yet. Checked his watch. Custodians start containment in 20 minutes. We need to be inside before then, or we miss the window. Right then. Butcher started toward the tower. Let's go fuck up Vaught's day. They made it to the service entrance through a combination of fake IDs and knowing which security guards were too tired to check carefully. The sub-level access was exactly where Butcher's contact said it would be. Steel door. Keypad lock. Frenchie had it open in 40 seconds. The maintenance tunnels were quiet. Emergency lighting every 20 feet. The hum of ventilation systems. They moved fast, Frenchie leading with a tablet showing the building's layout. Server room is 3 levels up, he said. We take this corridor to the freight elevator ride up to sub-level 1, then access through the mechanical room. How long to shut down the network once we're in? Asked. 5 minutes if they have physical cutoff switches. Longer if I need to do it through software. Make it fast. Custodians won't wait for us. They reached the freight elevator. Frenchie hit the button. The car arrived with a soft chime that sounded too loud in the empty corridor. The doors opened. Huey stepped forward. Stopped. What? Butcher asked. Nothing. Just... Huey looked into the elevator. Do we know where it is right now, the thing they're trying to contain? Somewhere in the building. Custodians said it moves through the infrastructure. Vents, crawl spaces, between walls. So it could be anywhere. Could be. Including here. Butcher looked at the elevator. At the ceiling panel that was slightly askew. At the darkness visible through the gap. Get in the elevator, Huey. I'm just saying maybe we should. Get in the elevator, or I'll push you in. Huey got in. They all did. Frenchie hit the button for sub-level 1. The doors closed. The elevator started moving. It was very quiet. We're not on the target list, said. Like he was reminding himself. We haven't seen it. We're fine. Right, Huey said. We're fine. The elevator climbed. Sub-level 3. Sub-level 2. The ceiling panel shifted. Just slightly. Like something had brushed against it from above. They all looked up. The elevator reached sub-level 1. The doors opened. Frenchie stepped out first, checked both directions. Clear. They moved into the corridor. Behind them, the elevator doors closed. The car sat there for a moment, then descended back down into the darkness. Inside in the space above the ceiling, something that had been perfectly still began to move again. But not toward the elevator shaft, toward the ventilation system, toward the server room on sub-level 1, where 4 people who hadn't seen its face were about to cut power to the only systems that could create new images of it. The thing didn't understand strategy, didn't understand technology, didn't understand what servers were or why they mattered. But it understood that the people moving through its territory were different from the ones who ran. These people weren't targets. These people were just in the way. And that was fine. It would wait. The server room was colder than the rest of the building. Rows of black towers humming with processing power, blinking green lights like eyes in the dark. Frenchie moved between them with his tablet tracing cables, checking connection points. "Here," he said. Stopped at a junction box mounted on the wall. "This controls the primary network trunk. If I disconnect this, the entire executive system goes offline. No more briefing queue, no more file sharing." "Do it," Butcher said. Frenchie opened the junction box, started pulling connections. The lights on the nearest server tower flickered. Some went dark. Huey's phone buzzed. He checked it. "Custodians are in position. They're ready to start the containment sequence." "How's that work?" MM asked. "They flood the target zones with thermal smoke. Force the subject to move toward clear areas. Then they funnel it back toward the containment cell using audio deterrence." Audio deterrence. High-frequency sound. It doesn't hurt the subject, but it finds it unpleasant. Makes it avoid certain corridors. Huey kept reading. "They've isolated 3 of the 4 active targets in secure rooms. Thermal monitoring only. No visual confirmation possible." "What about the 4th? Huey's expression changed. "They can't find her." "The analyst," Butcher said. "The one who opened the briefing. She's not in any of the designated safe zones. Security thinks she might have left the building during the evacuation." "Fuck." MM pulled out his phone. "If she's outside and that thing finishes with the targets inside, it'll come for her next, through walls, through streets, through however many people are standing between them." Huey looked at Butcher. "We need to find her." "That's not our problem. She's going to die. Everyone dies, Huey. Question is whether we can stop Vought from killing more people after she does." "Jesus Christ, would you listen to yourself?" Frenchie pulled another connection. More lights went dark. "Network is at 40% capacity. Executive systems are offline. I need 2 more minutes to complete the shutdown." The ventilation duct above them rattled. They all looked up. "What was that?" Huey asked. "Building settling," Butcher said. "Keep working, Frenchie." The duct rattled again, louder this time, then stopped. MM moved away from the wall. "That's not settling. Probably just the custodians moving their equipment. They're using the duct system for the audio deterrence. Or it's the thing we're trying to contain. We're not on the target list. We haven't seen it." "You sure about that?" Butcher looked at him. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we've been in this building for 15 minutes, moving through spaces where that thing hunts. Maybe we should consider the possibility that it knows we're here. It doesn't hunt random people. It hunts targets, people who've seen its face. According to the documentation, which also said it only responds to direct visual contact. But Vaught's AI reconstruction triggered it anyway." MM kept his eyes on the duct. "What if we don't know the rules as well as we think we do?" The duct rattled a 3rd time. Something was moving inside, fast, getting closer. "Frenchie," Butcher said quietly. "How long?" 90 seconds. "Make it 60. Frenchie's hands moved faster, pulled connections, routed power. The server room lights dimmed as more systems went offline. The duct went silent. They waited. 30 seconds, a minute, nothing. "Maybe it moved on," Huey said. The ceiling panel 10 feet away popped loose. Didn't fall, just hung there, bent outward. "Go," Butcher said. "Now." They moved toward the door. Behind them, something dropped from the ceiling. Silent. Faster than gravity should allow. Huey looked back, saw it crouched where they'd been standing. Tall. Too tall, arms too long, skin pale in the emergency lighting. Its face was down, hands covering it, trembling. "Don't look at it," MM said. Grabbed Huey's arm, pulled him through the door. They ran. Down the corridor, around a corner. Behind them they heard the thing move. Not footsteps. Something else. A wet sliding sound like muscle pulling against bone. "It's not following us," Huey said between breaths. "We're not targets. It should..." The thing screamed. Not loud, not yet. Just that thin, high sound they'd heard in the documentation. The sound that meant it was transitioning from dormant to active. "Why is it screaming?" Huey asked. "We didn't look at its face." "Maybe someone else did." Butcher kept running. Maybe someone in the building just opened the wrong file. They reached the freight elevator. MM hit the button. The display showed the car was on sub-level 3, climbing. "Come on," MM muttered. The elevator arrived. Doors opened. Inside was a man in a Vought security uniform. Dead. Slumped in the corner. His face was gone. Not damaged. Just gone. Like something had peeled it off and taken it with them. "Stairs," Butcher said. They found the emergency stairwell at the end of the corridor, started climbing. The screaming behind them got louder, escalating, the sound bouncing off concrete walls until it seemed to come from everywhere. Huey's phone buzzed. He pulled it out while running, read the message. "Custodians are pulling out. They say the subject is in active pursuit mode, can't contain until it completes the target cycle." "Who's the target?" MM asked. "Unknown. But it's moving toward the main building, away from the sublevels." They reached ground level, pushed through the door into a hallway that should have been empty. Instead, there were people. 12 of them. Security personnel in tactical gear. One of them held a thermal imaging camera. "Freeze," he said. Pointed the camera at them. Butcher stopped, hands visible. "We're friendlies." "Nobody's supposed to be in here. Building's evacuated." "We're contractors, working with the custodians to contain the asset." The custodians just left. Said the situation was uncontrollable. The security officer lowered the camera slightly. "What the hell is going on?" "You need to get out of the building," Huey said. "All of you, right now. We have orders to secure the perimeter and prevent the asset from reaching ground level. You can't secure shit against this thing. If it wants out, it's getting out. We have authorization to use lethal force if necessary. Lethal force doesn't work. It'll just make it angry." The officer's radio crackled. A voice came through, panicked, breathing hard. "Command, we have asset movement on level 12. Oh Christ, it's fast, requesting immediate backup." The radio cut to static, then screaming, then nothing. The security team looked at each other. "Level 12, one of them said. "That's 4 floors down from the executive briefing room." "Where the morning briefing went out," another added. "Where people opened the file." Butcher's phone rang. He answered it. Listened. His expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. "When?" Pause. "How many?" Pause. "Fuck!" He hung up. "What?" Huey asked. "Vaught's PR team just announced a special event, tonight, 7 p.m. Butcher looked at him. "Fearverse AR launch. Interactive horror experience. Limited preview at the Expo Center in Midtown." "Oh no. They're using the asset. The thing in this building. They're turning it into entertainment. They can't be that stupid. They can, and they are. Marketing already has the promotional materials ready. Immersive terror experience. Face your fears in augmented reality. Butcher laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. They're going to put its face on 1,000 phones and call it innovation. The security officer stepped forward. That's classified information. How do you? Because I've got better sources than you do. Butcher looked at the team. You want to help get everyone out of this building and shut down that event before it starts. We don't have authority to. Then get someone who does. MM's phone buzzed. He checked it. Crowd outside is getting restless. Some employees are trying to get back into the building to grab personal items. Police are saying the gas leak is contained and it's safe to return to lower floors. It's not safe, Huey said. We need to keep everyone out. Bit late for that. Butcher pointed at the elevator bank. The display showed 3 cars ascending from the parking garage. Someone just used their access badge to call the lifts. The security officer grabbed his radio. All units, we have unauthorized access at parking level P3. Multiple civilians entering the building. Intercept and redirect immediately. No response, just static. He tried again. Nothing. Comms are down, he said. No, Frenchie said from behind them. They turned. He was still holding his tablet. Comms are not down. They are being jammed. Very precisely. Very deliberately. By who? By someone who wants chaos. Frenchie showed them the screen. There is a signal broadcasting on all VOT internal frequencies. It is playing a loop. Audio file. What audio? Frenchie turned up the volume on his tablet. They heard it. That thin, high scream. The sound the thing made when it was hunting. Someone recorded it, Huey said. Someone recorded the subject vocalizing, and now they're broadcasting it through the building. Not just the building. Frenchie pulled up another screen. The signal is also broadcasting externally to any device within range. Phones, tablets, laptops. How many devices? Within a 3-block radius, approximately 7,000. The elevator doors opened. A woman stepped out. Mid-40s, business suit, VOT employee badge clipped to her jacket. She looked annoyed. Excuse me, she said to the security team. I need to get to my office. I have a meeting in 20 minutes and all my materials are on my desk. Ma'am, the building is still under evacuation. The alert said gas leak contained. I got the email. See? She held up her phone, showed them the screen. Huey looked at it. The email was legitimate. VOT letterhead, official signature, all clear to return to floors 1 through 25. Upper floors remain restricted pending final inspection. When did that go out? He asked. 5 minutes ago. That's not possible. We shut down the executive network. They can't send mass communications. Well, someone sent it. The woman brushed past them, headed for the hallway that led to the office areas. Now, if you'll excuse me, she stopped. At the end of the hallway, something moved. Tall shadow against the emergency lighting, long arms, hunched posture. The woman stared at it. Ma'am, the security officer said. Very slowly walked back toward us. She didn't move. Couldn't. Just stood there looking at the thing at the end of the hall. It was standing completely still, hands covering its face, trembling. Ma'am, the officer said again. It's very important that you don't look at... The woman took her phone out, opened the camera app, pointed it at the thing. What are you doing? Huey asked. Taking a picture? VOT will want documentation of the asset for insurance purposes. Don't. She took the picture. The flash went off. Bright in the dim hallway, the thing's hands dropped from its face. The woman looked at her phone screen, at the image she'd just captured, at the face now clearly visible in high resolution. She went pale. "Run," Butcher said. The thing screamed, loud this time, escalating. The woman dropped her phone and ran toward them. The thing moved, not walking, that same wet sliding motion, faster than anything that size should move. The security team opened fire. Bullets hit the thing, slowed it, didn't stop it. "Go," the lead officer shouted. "Everyone out, now." They ran, the woman, the security team, Butcher and the others, back toward the emergency exit. Behind them, the thing kept coming, kept screaming. The sound got louder. They made it to the stairwell, started climbing. The woman was crying, saying something about insurance documentation and company policy. "Shut up and run," MM told her. They reached the ground floor exit, burst through the door into sunlight. The crowd of evacuated employees scattered. Police moved toward them. "What the hell is happening?" one of the officers asked. "Building's not secure," Butcher said. "You need to extend the perimeter. Get everyone back another block." "On whose authority?" "On the authority of that." Butcher pointed at the building entrance, at the door they'd just come through. The thing was there, in the doorway, visible in full daylight for the first time. Pale skin, skeletal frame, arms too long, face. "Don't look at it," Huey shouted. "Everyone, close your eyes." But it was too late. People were already looking, already pointing, already pulling out phones to record. The thing stepped out into the street, into the crowd. Its hands covered its face, but people could see it anyway. Could see enough. Someone screamed. Then someone else. The crowd started to move. Panic spreading like water finding cracks. The police tried to establish order, tried to push people back, but the crowd was too big and moving too fast. Huey grabbed Butcher's arm. "We have to do something." "Like what?" "I don't know. Something. Anything." Butcher looked at the chaos, at the thing standing in the middle of it all, trembling hands pressed tight against its face, at the people running, at the phones recording. "This is going to spread," he said. "Not just the footage, the whole bloody thing. Someone's going to post that video online. Someone's going to share it. And then everyone who sees it becomes a target." "Not everyone. Just everyone who sees the face clearly enough." Butcher pulled out his phone, started typing. "I'm sending a message to every contact I have, news media, social platforms. Tell them not to broadcast any footage from this location. Say it's graphic content. Say it's classified. Say whatever you need to say, but keep it offline." "You think they'll listen?" "No, but maybe we buy ourselves an hour before this goes viral." MM was on his phone, too. Calling the custodians. They need to know the subject is in public. Frenchie tapped Huey's shoulder. "Look." Huey turned. At the edge of the crowd, a black SUV had pulled up. The door opened. A woman stepped out. 50s, professional. Vought executive badge visible on her jacket. Ashley Barrett, Senior Vice President of Brand Management. She walked toward the thing, not fast, not scared, just walking like she was heading into a meeting. "What is she doing?" Huey asked. Ashley stopped 10 feet from the thing, looked at it. Not at its face, at its posture, the way it was standing. "Subject SCP-096, she said, loud enough for the nearby crowd to hear. "On behalf of Vought International, I'm authorizing emergency containment protocol. 7-7 Bravo. Custodian team, you are cleared to deploy. Chemical sedation. Nothing happened. Ashley spoke into her phone. Where's the custodian team? A pause while she listened. What do you mean they left? We have an active asset in public? Another pause. Then, get them back here. Offer double the contract rate. Triple if necessary. She hung up, looked at the thing. It was still standing there, still trembling. Its scream had quieted to that thin, high sound again. Someone get me a thermal imaging camera, Ashley said. One of the security officers handed her one. She pointed it at the thing, looked at the display. It's tracking something, she said. Temperature differential indicates increased blood flow to the limbs. That's pre-movement behavior. It's about to run. Run where? The officer asked. Ashley checked her tablet, pulled up something. There were 4 active targets when we evacuated the building. 3 were secured. 1 was unaccounted for. She looked up. The junior analyst from Strategic Assets. She was in the crowd during evacuation. Anyone see where she went? The security officer pointed. Food trucks, east side of the perimeter. Ashley started walking. Clear a path. Ma'am, you shouldn't. I said clear a path. The police moved. Created a corridor through the crowd. Ashley walked through it. The thing followed. Not fast, just following. Like it knew where it was going. Huey started after them. Butcher grabbed his arm. Don't, Butcher said. She's walking it right toward the target. That's the point. Let it finish. Let it go dormant. Then we can contain it properly. She's using a person as bait. She's stopping this from getting worse. By letting someone die. 1 person dies or 100 people die. That's the math. Butcher's grip tightened. You wanted to help contain this thing. This is what containment looks like. Huey pulled free, started running. Followed him. They reached the food trucks 30 seconds behind Ashley. The crowd had scattered. Only a few people remained, including a young woman sitting on the curb. Laptop bag next to her. Phone in her hand. The junior analyst. She was looking at something on her phone. An image. Grayscale. Thermal reconstruction cleaned up by AI. A face, pale, drawn, too clear. She looked up, saw Ashley approaching, saw the thing behind her. Oh, she said quietly. Oh no. Ashley stopped, turned to look at the analyst. You saw the briefing attachment this morning? I didn't know. It was just a file. I didn't know what it would be. I know, but that doesn't change what happens next. The analyst stood up, backed away. The thing moved forward, still slow, still deliberate. Please, the analyst said. Please, I didn't mean to. I'll delete it. I'll erase everything. I'll never look at it again. It doesn't work that way. Ashley's voice was gentle, almost kind. Once you've seen it, you're on the list. There's no taking yourself off. Huey reached them, stepped between the analyst and the thing. Move, Ashley said. No. This isn't your decision. Neither is it yours. Actually, it is. I'm the senior officer on site, and this is a containment operation. Move or I'll have security remove you. Try it. Arrived, stood next to Huey. He's not moving. Ashley looked at them, looked at the thing still advancing, looked at the analyst behind Huey, crying now, holding her phone like it might protect her. You're going to get more people killed, Ashley said. That thing won't stop until it reaches her. If you're standing in the way, it'll go through you. And once it does, once more people see its face, the cycle starts again. More targets, more deaths. So we blind them, Huey said. Like the documentation suggested, remove visual confirmation. Do you hear yourself? You're suggesting we blind a woman to save her from being killed. I'm suggesting we find another option. There isn't one. The thing was 10 feet away now. Huey could hear it breathing, fast, shallow. That wet, choked sound from the documentation. Ashley's phone rang. She answered it, listened. Her expression changed. When? Pause. How many people? Pause. Shut it down. Right now. I don't care what marketing says. Shut it down. She hung up. What? Asked. Vought Expo Center, the Fearverse preview event. Ashley looked at the thing, at the analyst, at Huey. Marketing just went live with the promotional AR filter. It's on social media now. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. What's the filter? It overlays the subject's face onto the user's screen. Augmented reality horror experience. Face your fears. Ashley laughed. It was not a happy sound. They used the enhanced thermal image from the morning briefing. The same one that triggered all of this. Huey felt his stomach drop. How many people have used it? In the last 5 minutes, approximately 12,000. Oh God. It gets worse. The event isn't until tonight. But the filter's already trending. They're estimating 50,000 users by end of day. Ashley looked at the thing. 50,000 targets. The thing stopped moving, stood completely still. Its breathing changed. Slower, deliberate. Then it started screaming. Not the thin, high sound, the full scream. The one that meant it was transitioning to active hunt mode. Everyone run, Ashley said. Now. The crowd scattered. The analyst ran. Huey and ran. Ashley ran. The thing didn't chase any of them. It turned, faced east, toward Midtown, toward the Expo Center where in 12 hours, thousands of people would gather for an event that would put its face on every screen in the venue. It started moving. Not running, just walking. But fast. Each step covering ground that shouldn't be possible. Heading toward the largest concentration of targets it had ever had. Heading toward a disaster that Vought had created and no one knew how to stop. Behind it in the street outside Vought Tower, Huey stood with his phone in his hand, watching the thing disappear around a corner. We have to warn them, he said. Everyone at that event. Everyone who's going to use that filter. We have to tell them what happens if they see its face. They won't believe you, Butcher said. He'd caught up to them, was standing there watching the chaos. You tell people not to look at something, first thing they do is look. Then we force them not to. Shut down the filter. Shut down the event. Shut down every screen in that building if we have to. That's not our call. Then whose call is it? Butcher looked at him. Right now, nobody's. Vaught's too busy covering their ass. The custodians bailed. Police think this is some kind of publicity stunt. He lit a cigarette. We're on our own. So what do? We do what we always do. Butcher started walking. We fuck things up and hope it lands on the right people. Huey followed. So did and Frenchie. Behind them, the crowd was reforming. People pulling out phones, recording, sharing. The video was already uploading, already spreading, already being watched by people who didn't know what they were looking at, already creating new targets. By 7 p.m., when the Expo Center opened its doors and the Fearverse preview event began, the thing would be there waiting. And so would 3,000 people who thought they were about to experience the future of entertainment. None of them knew they'd already been marked for death. The Expo Center was glass and steel built to hold 5,000 people for product launches and tech demonstrations. Tonight it held 3,000. Tech journalists, influencers, Vought employees who'd gotten early access passes, all of them wearing AR glasses or holding up phones waiting for the Fearverse experience to start. Huey stood across the street watching the crowd filter in through the main entrance. Security checkpoints, badge scanners, the usual corporate theater. "We're too late," he said. "Not yet." Butcher was on his phone texting rapidly. "I've got contacts inside, maintenance staff. People who owe me favors. They can cut power to the main stage, delay the presentation." "For how long?" 20 minutes, maybe 30 if they're creative about it. "That's not enough time to evacuate 3,000 people." "No. But it's enough time to stop them from turning on the filter." Butcher put his phone away. "Frenchie's working on a network jammer. Blocks all local wireless signals. Phone won't connect, filter won't load. That'll cause a panic." "Better than the alternative." Lowered his binoculars. "I count 12 exits. 6 main, 6 emergency. If we trigger the fire alarm, we can clear the building in under 10 minutes. Fire alarm requires a real fire or security override," Huey said. "We don't have either. Then we make a fire." "That's insane." "You got a better idea." Huey didn't. He looked at the building, at the people streaming in, at the massive screens on the exterior showing preview footage, Vought branding everywhere, the Fearverse logo, a tagline, "Face your fears in real time." His phone buzzed. Message from an unknown number. He opened it. Inside the building now. "We'll cut power at 19 hours exactly. Be ready." "Who's that?" Butcher asked. "Don't know. But someone's helping us. Or setting us up. Right now, I'll take either." They crossed the street, joined the flow of people heading toward the building. Security was checking badges, but the crowd was large enough that 3 people without credentials could blend in if they timed it right. They timed it right. Inside the main hall was massive. 3 stories tall. The ceiling was translucent panels showing city lights above. Screens everywhere. AR demonstration stations set up in clusters. People testing the technology, pointing their phones at markers on the floor, watching digital horrors overlay onto reality. "It's already active," said. "They're running the filter." "That's just the demo version," a woman next to them said. She had a press badge, tech reporter. "The real experience doesn't start until 7. That's when they unlock the premium content. The actual scare." "What actual scare?" Huey asked. "Don't know. Vought's keeping it under wraps. Some kind of proprietary horror asset. Supposed to be the most realistic fear simulation ever created." She grinned. "Can't wait." Huey's phone buzzed again. Different number. "Get to the server room. 3rd floor east wing. I can give you access, but you need to move now." "Who keeps texting you?" asked. "Someone who knows we're here." Huey showed them the message. "Think it's a trap." "Definitely." Butcher was already moving toward the stairs. "Let's go anyway." They climbed. The 3rd floor was less crowded. Corporate offices, conference rooms, a hallway that led to a door marked "Authorized Personnel Only." The door unlocked as they approached. Clicked open electronically. Inside the server room was smaller than Vought Towers, but just as cold. Rows of equipment, screens showing network traffic, and standing in the middle of it all, a man in a Vought security uniform. Not the same man from the tower. Someone older. Gray hair, tired eyes. "You're late," he said. "Who are you?" Butcher asked. "Someone who knows what Vought did. Someone who watched 6 people die because management wouldn't listen to protocols." He pulled out a tablet, showed them the screen. "I've been monitoring the AR filter deployment. It went live 3 hours ago. Current user count is 47,000 and climbing." Jesus. It gets worse. The filter uses the original enhanced thermal image, the one that triggered the asset in the first place. Anyone who activates it gets full facial detail in high resolution. So they're all targets, potentially. But the asset can only process one target at a time, sequentially, which means it'll take weeks to get through the list. Finished. Weeks of hunting, weeks of killing. Unless we stop the spread. The security officer pulled up another screen. "This is the filter's source code. If I corrupt the facial data, replace it with noise, the filter stops working. New users won't see the face, won't become targets." "Do it," Huey said. "I can't. Not from here. Not. The master server is in Vought Tower. I need physical access to corrupt the source file." "Tower's still in lockdown." "Not anymore. Building reopened at 6 p.m. Lower floors only, but that's where the server is." Butcher's phone buzzed. He checked it. "Maintenance contact says power cut's ready. They're waiting for my signal." "How long will that buy us?" the security officer asked. 30 minutes before backup generators kick in. Not enough. Even if you corrupt the source file, the filter's already cached on 47,000 devices. Those copies will still work. So what do? We force a global update. Push corrupted data to all active installations simultaneously. Requires triggering a critical security patch alert. Users will be prompted to update immediately, or their app gets disabled. Can you do that? No. But she can. The officer pointed at one of the screens. It showed security camera footage from the main hall. A woman in a business suit moving through the crowd. Tablet in hand, looking professional and completely out of place among the tech enthusiasts. Ashley Barrett. "She's here?" Huey asked. "She's been here for 20 minutes, trying to get the event shut down. Marketing won't listen. They're claiming the filter malfunction reports are just user error." Filter malfunction reports. People who use the filter are reporting technical issues. Apps freezing, screens glitching. Some users are saying they see movement in the images, like the face is tracking them. Looked at the screen showing Ashley. She has the authority to push a global update. She has the access codes, but she won't use them without approval from the board. Company policy. "How do we get board approval?" "You don't. Not in time." The officer pulled out a key card, handed it to Butcher. "This gets you into the executive suite. Ashley's access terminal is there. If you can convince her to bypass protocol, you can push the update from that system." "Convince her how?" "Show her what's coming." The officer switched camera feeds, showed the street outside. A figure moving through the crowd, tall, hunched, moving with that same wet sliding motion. "It's here," Huey said. "Been here for 10 minutes, tracking something, someone." The officer zoomed in. "There's a woman on the main floor who used the filter 4 hours ago. Posted about it on social media. Couple of thousand likes. She's the closest target geographically. Which means the asset is coming for her. And when it gets inside, when people see it, when they point their phones at it, they'll activate the filter to record it, and create more targets. The officer nodded. Exponential spread. That's what happens when you turn a visual cognito hazard into social media content. Butcher looked at the screen, showing Ashley. Then at the screen, showing the thing outside. Then at Huey and MM. Right, he said. New plan. Huey, you get to Ashley. Show her what's happening. Get her to push the update. MM, you're with me. We're going to slow that thing down before it reaches the main hall. Slow it down how? Creatively. Butcher was already moving toward the door. Frenchie, you stay here. Work with our friend to prep the corrupted update. Soon as Ashley gives us access, you push it immediately. And if she doesn't give us access, Huey asked, then we trigger the fire alarm and hope 3,000 people can evacuate faster than that thing can hunt. They split up. Huey headed for the executive suite. MM and Butcher headed for the main hall. The executive suite was on the second floor. Glass walls overlooking the event space. Huey used the key card. The door unlocked. Ashley was at the desk. Tablet in front of her. Phone pressed to her ear. She looked up when he entered. Frowned. I'll call you back, she said. Hung up. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you. Neither should any of these people. It's a product launch. We've had dozens of them. Not like this. Not with something that kills people for looking at it. Huey pulled out his phone, showed her the security footage. It's outside, right now, coming for someone in this building. Ashley looked at the screen. Her expression didn't change. How many people know about this? Does it matter? Yes. If this is contained to a small group, we can manage it. If it's public knowledge, it's already public knowledge. 47,000 people have used the filter. 47,000 potential targets. You think that stays secret? We can claim technical glitch, recall the filter, issue refunds. People are going to die. People die every day. The question is whether we let it destroy the company or whether we control the narrative. Huey stared at her. You really don't care, do you? I care about the 3,000 employees who depend on VOT for their livelihoods. I care about the shareholders who've invested billions. I care about maintaining order in a situation that could very easily spiral into chaos. Ashley stood up. What I don't care about is your moral posturing when you don't understand the stakes. I understand that thing is going to come through that door and kill everyone who's seen its face. I understand that every person in this building with a phone is about to become a target. And I understand that you have the power to stop it, and you're choosing not to. I'm choosing to follow protocol. There's a difference. 7 people died this morning because someone followed protocol. That got through. Ashley's expression flickered. What do you want me to do? Push the update, corrupt the filter, stop the spread. I need board approval for... There's no time for board approval. That thing is already inside the building. Ashley looked at the screen again. The footage showed the thing had entered through a service entrance, was moving through the lower level corridors, heading toward the main hall. If I push an unauthorized update, I lose my position, possibly face criminal charges for exceeding my authority. If you don't push it, you lose a lot more than your position. Ashley sat down, pulled up something on her tablet, stared at it for a long moment. The woman it's tracking, she said. The target. Do we know who she is? Tech journalist. Press badge says Rachel Moss. Posted about the filter on Twitter at 3 p.m. Can we get her out of the building? Not without causing a panic. And even if we do, the asset will follow. Through streets, through crowds. So she's already dead? Probably. And if we evacuate everyone else? Same problem. The asset doesn't stop, it tracks, it hunts. Best case scenario, it kills her somewhere less public. Worst case, it kills her in the middle of a crowd and creates more targets when people try to film it. Ashley closed her eyes. This is what we get for trying to monetize everything. Can you push the update or not? I can, but I need executive authorization code. Mine alone isn't enough. Where do we get that? Homelander? Huey felt his stomach drop. You're joking. He's the primary asset responder. Company policy requires his approval for any large-scale security updates during active events. He doesn't even know what's happening. Then we tell him. He'll want to see it. He'll want to know what he's dealing with, and if he sees it, then we have a much bigger problem. Ashley stood up. But that's the protocol. We can break one rule, or we can break all of them. Choose. Huey's phone buzzed. Message from Butcher. Things in the building. Main hall. You need to move now. He showed Ashley the message. She grabbed her tablet. Fine. We do this without Homelander's approval. But if this goes wrong, you're explaining to him why we bypassed his authority. Deal. They headed for the door. Behind them on the security monitor, the footage showed the thing emerging into the main hall. People saw it immediately, started pointing, pulling out phones. The thing stood in the entrance, hands covering its face, trembling. Someone shouted. Someone else laughed. A few people thought it was part of the show, started filming. The thing's hands dropped. Full view. Face visible in high definition to everyone pointing a phone at it. The filter activated automatically. Facial recognition software designed to enhance the AR experience. It locked onto the face, rendered it in perfect detail on 300 screens simultaneously. 300 new targets. The thing started screaming. In the executive suite, Ashley's tablet lit up with alerts. User count spiking. The filter was trending, going viral in real time. Oh God, she said. It's spreading. Huey ran, down the stairs, toward the main hall. Behind him, he could hear Ashley shouting into her phone, authorizing the update, triggering emergency protocols. Too late. The main hall was chaos, people running, security trying to establish order. The thing in the middle of it all, moving toward its primary target. The journalist, Rachel Moss. She was backed against a wall phone in her hand, still filming. "Drop the phone!" Huey shouted. She didn't hear him. Too much noise, too much panic. The thing reached her, hands already extending. A blast of heat vision cut between them. Precise, surgical. It didn't hit the thing, just created a wall of superheated air that forced it to pause. Homelander descended from above, landed between the thing and the journalist, smiled for the cameras that were still recording. "Easy there, big guy," he said, talking to the thing, but playing to the crowd. "Whatever Vaught's paying you for this performance, it's not worth—" He stopped, actually looked at the thing for the first time, at the face. The thing looked back. 3 seconds of direct eye contact. Then Homelander's expression changed. Not fear. Not yet. Just recognition that something was very wrong. "What the hell are you?" he asked. The thing screamed. Louder than before. The sound bounced off the walls, off the glass ceiling, became painful. Homelander's jaw tightened. "I asked you a question." The thing moved, fast, faster than Homelander expected. It didn't attack, just moved. Create distance, put itself between Homelander and the exit. "You want to go?" Homelander's voice was still controlled, but something underneath had shifted. "Fine, let's go." He flew forward, connected with the thing mid-torso. The impact should have shattered bone, should have sent it flying. Instead, the thing absorbed it, stumbled back 3 steps, then stabilized. Homelander's smile faded. He hit it again, harder. The thing went down, rolled, came back up, moving. "Okay," Homelander said. "You're tough, I get it." He used heat vision, concentrated beam, aimed for the head. The thing dodged. Not superhuman speed, just timing. Like it knew where the beam would be before Homelander fired. The blast hit the wall. Melted glass. People screamed. "Everyone out!" Homelander shouted. "Now!" The crowd surged toward the exits, bottlenecked at the doors. Security tried to manage the flow, but 3,000 people don't evacuate orderly when something that size is fighting something that powerful. Huey found MM and Butcher in the chaos. "We need to get Homelander out of here," he said. "Before he..." Too late. Homelander grabbed the thing by the arm, tried to throw it. The thing twisted, raked fingers across Homelander's face, drew blood. Actual blood. Homelander touched his cheek, looked at his hand, saw red. His expression went flat. "You made me bleed." The thing didn't respond, just moved, attacked again. This time, Homelander didn't hold back. He grabbed it by the throat, lifted it, slammed it into the floor hard enough to crack concrete. Then again. Then again. The thing's bones broke. Huey heard them snap, saw the way the limbs bent wrong. But it didn't stop moving. It reached up, grabbed Homelander's wrist, pulled. The grip was strong enough that Homelander actually felt it. Strong enough that he had to work to break free. "What are you?" Homelander asked again. This time he really wanted to know. The thing didn't answer. Just kept coming. Broken bones shifting back into place. Healing, not fast like Homelander healed. Slower. But continuous. Homelander hit it with everything. Heat vision. Punches that could level buildings. Nothing stopped it. Nothing even slowed it down for more than a few seconds. "This doesn't make sense," Homelander muttered. "You're not that strong. You're not that fast. You should be dead." But the thing wasn't dead. Because it wasn't fighting to win. It was fighting to reach its target. And Homelander was in the way. The thing stopped attacking, changed tactics, ignored Homelander entirely, moved past him toward the exit where the journalist had fled. Homelander grabbed it from behind. "I'm not done with you." The thing turned, looked at him, really looked, like it was seeing him for the first time as something other than an obstacle. Then it opened its mouth and screamed directly into Homelander's face. Point blank. Close enough that Homelander could feel the vibration in his bones. He let go. Not because it hurt. Because something about that sound reached past his powers and touched something primal. Something that didn't care how strong he was or how many people worshipped him. The thing ran, out the exit, into the street, following its target. Homelander stood there, bleeding, surrounded by broken concrete and shattered glass and the remains of what was supposed to be a product launch. He touched his face, felt the scratches that were already healing. Then he looked up at the security cameras, at the phone still recording, at the evidence that he'd been in a fight and hadn't won immediately. His hands started shaking. "Turn them off," he said. The security officers looked at each other. "Sir, turn off the cameras, all of them, right now. We need the footage for incident reports." Homelander moved, grabbed the nearest camera, crushed it. Then the next one, then the next. I said, "Turn them off." The security officers scrambled, started shutting down systems. But people still had phones. People were still recording. Homelander saw them, saw the cameras pointed at him, at his face, at the scratches that proved he could bleed. "Delete those," he said, voice very calm, very controlled. Nobody moved. "Delete the footage or I start breaking arms." A woman near the front lowered her phone. "It's already uploading. To cloud storage, can't delete it." "Then I'll delete the cloud." "That's not how." He used heat vision. Cut her phone in half. The pieces clattered to the floor. "Anyone else want to explain technology to me?" The crowd backed away. Some people ran, others put their phones away. But the damage was done. The footage was out there, uploading, spreading. Homelander stood in the ruined hall, surrounded by people who'd seen him bleed, seen him fail to stop something that, by all rights, should have been easy, seen him be less than invincible. His phone rang. Ashley. "What?" he answered. "We pushed the corrupted update. The filters disabled on all devices. No new targets." "How many current targets?" 473. The ones who saw it tonight, plus the original 47,000 from the filter deployment. Jesus Christ. It gets worse. "You're on the list now." Homelander stopped. "What?" "You looked at it. Full facial view. The system flagged you as an active target." "That's not possible. It doesn't care what you are. You saw it. You're marked." Homelander looked toward the exit where the thing had disappeared. "How do I get off the list?" "You don't. Not until..." Ashley paused. "Not until it completes the target cycle." Meaning it kills everyone who saw it, including you. Or we find a way to remove visual confirmation from your memory. Blind me. That's one option. What are the others? Kill it, permanently, before it reaches you. Homelander laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. "I just tried that. Didn't work." "Then you try harder." "It's not about trying harder. That thing..." He stopped. "It doesn't fight like anything I've faced before. It's not trying to win. It's trying to reach its target. Everything else is just noise. Then let it reach its targets. All of them. Once it's done, it goes dormant." "You're talking about letting it kill 473 people. I'm talking about containment. You wanted to know the options. Those are the options." Homelander hung up, looked around the ruined hall, at the security officers watching him, at the broken cameras, at the evidence of his failure. "Get everyone out of the building," he said. "Lock it down, no one in or out." "Sir, there are still people..." "I don't care. Lock it down." He flew up. Through the shattered ceiling panel, into the night sky above Manhattan. Below him the city spread out. 8 million people. Any one of them could be a target. Any one of them could have seen the footage, used the filter, marked themselves for death. And somewhere in those 8 million people, a thing that didn't care about power or fame or godhood was hunting. Hunting targets it would never stop pursuing until they were dead. Including him. For the first time in years, Homelander felt something he'd almost forgotten. Fear. Not of dying. He didn't think that thing could actually kill him. But of being afraid. Of people seeing him be afraid. That was worse than death. He pulled out his phone, called VOT Security Command. I need the location of every person who used the Fearverse filter in the last 6 hours. Sir, that's 47,000 people, plus the 473 from tonight. I know how many there are. I want locations, all of them. That'll take hours to compile. You have 30 minutes. He hung up, looked down at the city. If he couldn't kill the thing, and he couldn't get off the list, then the next best option was to control when and where it found him. Somewhere private, somewhere with no witnesses, somewhere he could lose without anyone seeing. Somewhere he could be afraid without it mattering. But first, he needed to make sure no one else saw what had happened tonight. No footage, no witnesses, no evidence that he'd bled. He descended. Back to the expo center, back to the people who'd been filming. They'd seen too much. That needed to be fixed. On the street 3 blocks away, Huey watched Homelander disappear into the building. He's going to kill them, he said. The witnesses. Anyone who recorded him bleeding. Probably, Butcher agreed. We have to stop him. We have to let him. What? Because if we stop him, we don't have leverage. But if we let him do it, if we document it, if we prove he murdered civilians to cover up looking weak. Butcher smiled. Then we own him. People will die. People are already dying. Question is whether we use it or waste it. Huey looked at him. When did you become this? Always been this, mate. You're just finally paying attention. Huey's phone buzzed. Ashley, he answered. Yeah. The update pushed successfully. Filters corrupted on all devices. But the target list is locked. Everyone who saw it is marked. We can't remove them. How many total? 47,473. Scattered across 6 continents. Oh, God. It's going to take months, maybe years. That thing killing its way through the list one at a time. Unless we contain it. We tried. It's loose now. In the city, tracking targets sequentially, starting with the closest ones. Who's closest? According to thermal tracking, a pause. Homelander. Huey felt something cold settle in his chest. It's going after him. He's on the list. He looked at it. Same as everyone else. But doesn't matter what he is. Rules don't change. Huey hung up, looked at Butcher. Homelander's on the target list. Butcher's expression didn't change. Well, that's interesting. It's going to hunt him. Probably can't kill him, but it'll try. And that, Butcher's smile widened. That I want to see. In the sky above Manhattan, Homelander was still flying, still planning, still trying to figure out how to fix this without anyone knowing he needed to fix it. He didn't know the thing was already tracking him. Didn't know that in 3 hours, it would find him. Didn't know that when it did, the fight would be different, longer, more brutal. Didn't know that he would lose, not in the way that mattered, not permanently, but enough that people would see, people would know. People would remember that their God could bleed. Below in a safe house 3 blocks from Vought Tower, Ashley sat alone with her tablet, watching the casualty count climb, watching the target list expand as more people found cached versions of the filter, watching the city prepare for something it didn't understand. She opened a new document, started typing. Incident Report Asset SCP-096. Containment failure. Multiple exposures. Estimated casualties 47,473. Over projected 18 to 24 month period. Cause failure to adhere to custodian protocols. Unauthorized enhancement of thermal data. Unauthorized public deployment of trigger image via AR filter. Recommendation: full termination of Fearverse product line. Permanent shutdown of all visual monitoring for cognito-hazard assets. Criminal investigation into marketing department decisions. She paused. Added one more line. Status asset still active. Homelander designated primary target. Outcome uncertain. She saved the document, sent it to the board with high priority flag. Then she closed her laptop and sat in the dark, listening to sirens in the distance. The city didn't know what was coming, but she did, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. 3 days later, the thing was still hunting, still working through the list. Bodies turned up in locked rooms, in cars, in places with no visible entry points. The news called it a serial killer. Police called it terrorism. Vought called it a tragic malfunction of experimental technology. Nobody called it what it was: a consequence. 2 weeks later, Homelander went dark, disappeared from public view. Vought claimed he was on a classified government assignment. In reality, he was in a bunker 200 feet underground. Non-optical monitoring only. Thermal cameras, audio sensors. No mirrors, no glass. No reflective surfaces. Waiting. Because he knew it was coming. Knew it wouldn't stop. Knew that eventually, somehow, it would find him. And when it did, he'd have to fight it again. In private this time. No cameras, no witnesses. Just him and the thing that didn't care if he was a god. 1 month later, the death toll reached 200. Vaught's stock dropped 40%. Ashley was fired. The Fearverse product line was permanently discontinued. And somewhere in a vault in Vought Tower, in a room with no optical monitoring, a single file remained. The original enhanced thermal image. Uncorrupted, unaltered. Perfect resolution, one frame showing the face clearly enough to trigger the effect. Stored in an air-gapped system. No network access. No copies. Just one file. Kept as insurance, as leverage, as the ultimate weapon. The thing that made people look. The thing that couldn't be unseen. The thing that Vought could release at any moment if they needed to. If they needed to remind the world what happened when you looked too closely at something you weren't meant to see. In the bunker, Homelander sat in darkness, listening to thermal sensors track movement in the walls, waiting for the thing that was coming for him, knowing that when it arrived, he couldn't let anyone see what happened next. Couldn't let anyone know he was afraid, even if fear was all he had left. Above ground, in a basement 3 blocks from Vought Tower, Butcher watched news footage of another body discovered. Another target eliminated. Huey sat next to him, not speaking. "We could have stopped this," Huey said finally. "Maybe. We let it happen. We documented it. There's a difference." "Is there?" Butcher didn't answer. Just kept watching the screen. The city had learned a new rule. Don't look at things you're not meant to see. Don't zoom in. Don't enhance. Don't try to make the invisible visible. Some things stay hidden for a reason. And when you force them into light, when you turn horror into content, when you monetize fear, something comes for you. Something that doesn't stop. Something that doesn't care. And by the time you understand what you've done, it's too late to look away. The screen went dark. Huey closed his laptop. "What do we do now?" he asked. Butcher stood up, put on his coat. "We wait. We document. And when that thing finally corners Homelander in that bunker, we make sure everyone sees. There's hope for you yet." They left. The basement went quiet, and somewhere in the walls of Vought Tower, in spaces between concrete and steel, something moved. Patient. Relentless. Following a list that would take years to complete. But time didn't matter. The list was the only thing that mattered. Every name would be crossed off. Every target would be reached. Every person who looked would face what they'd seen. That was the rule, and rules don't negotiate. The arrival of an entity that obeys no familiar rules turned the world of the boys upside down. SCP-096 has no interests to bargain with, cannot be threatened, and cannot be manipulated by media narratives. It has no sense of justice and no malice to exploit. It simply exists and reacts. For Vought, this catastrophe was not a warning, but a new business lesson. They learned that ultimate power does not lie in manufacturing heroes, but in controlling what cannot be controlled. SCP-096 became a button, a strategic lever, stored away like a nuclear weapon never used, but always ready. In this story, SCP-096 functions like a bomb once triggered. It spirals beyond control and inflicts damage on a catastrophic scale. For Homelander, this may have been the first time he was forced to confront the cost of his obsession with spectacle. The need to be seen to dominate every frame finally caught up with him. And the price of that lesson was paid not by him, but by countless innocent lives left behind in the wreckage. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And be sure to turn on notifications so you won't miss our future videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.